Hello, hello. Welcome to another live stream. Thank you so much for those of you who have been letting me know that you've been enjoying the series. I love that. I've been enjoying this series as well. So I have a special announcement that I'm going to share with you today. And yeah, let's just go ahead and dive in. So if you've watched the previous live stream entitled "You Are the Divine Creatrix," then this is totally going to tie into this one. So I will link that one possibly after this live stream. But welcome if you're new here. My name is Sarah Rose, and I am an activator for Starseeds, Lightworkers, and Healers. Part of my mission is to activate the leaders that are here to help humanity through this mass awakening and ascension. So if you are here, and you are resonating, it's not an accident. You are here because you have a soul contract to show up in your truth and your authenticity and share your sacred medicine gift message with the world. You are and have been prepared for this. And so this will make a lot of sense, especially if you watched my previous episode on Lone Wolf to Sacred Visionary. You've been preparing for this season your whole life to be able to play this role in humanity's ascension. So, 2025, as you know from previous episodes, is all about playing and having fun. And really, right now, there is a huge call in the collective to step into your purpose and really shine your truth and your authenticity and share with the world what you are being guided to share, because you are a channel, you are a vessel for the divine to work through you. And divine creation, there's so much energy coming through, and there's been hibernation mode, there's been hunkering down and going inward, hermit mode, and really clearing and purifying and purging. And if you're resonating with this, like, you've likely been through that season. And if you're still going through that season, then I do recommend checking out the Divine Feminine Collective Message playlist, which I will link below this, because that's more for divine feminines that are really going through the throes of dark night of the soul. Maybe you've met your twin flame and you're going through a lot of those abandonment wounds and unworthiness wounds and things like that are being revealed. So that is a different phase of the journey. So the person that I'm speaking to now has been through the trials and the tribulations, and you have been reborn. You're no longer obsessed with what's going on with, let's say, your twin flame, or trying to figure things out. You are fully moving into a phase where you are in a trust fall with the universe, and you are the Empress. And the Empress does what the Empress does. The Empress is pregnant. The Empress is pregnant with something to birth into the world, whether that be a literal baby or your baby, your divine creation, whatever it is that you want to birth into the world. So there's so much creative energy that is able to be harnessed in 2025 as we move into this year, that's going to catapult you into a whole new timeline, your highest ascension timeline, your divine blueprint, the reason that you incarnated right now on planet Earth. And that is directly connected to your divine feminine creative flow. There's just so much energy coming through that I personally need an outlet for all of this creative energy that is just wanting to stream through me. And it's been interesting because these live streams started a little over a month ago, and they were this particular series. I've done live stream series before. This particular series started about a month and a half ago or so. And when I get off the live streams, especially the last two, I was like, that was fun. And then the following Saturday, it happened again. And I was like, that was fun. And I've literally been lit up the entire day. Anytime I do a live stream, I'm just totally lit up. And the first words out of my mouth was, that was fun. And if you know, this year is all about following the fun and being able to play. So I was like, why am I only doing it once a week when it just is so much fun? And it's this creative outlet where I get to show up and channel source that whatever wants to come through me as a channel. And so, like, and it's perfect timing, right? So it's like everything I've ever done over the course of my spiritual entrepreneurship career, the ones that have always been the most fun are the things that I've delivered live, because I just get really into, my flow. So I was like, that's interesting. So I'm going to share a little bit of a story here. So I was like, okay, what if I actually did this daily? Like, why would I limit this? Like, there's so much energy that wants to come through, so much creative flow. Like, why would I limit this? So I was like, what if I actually did this daily? And I was like, my ego was going back and forth trying to figure it out and be like, well, that's a big commitment. And we know you like your beauty sleep, and you like to sleep in and you like have your lazy mornings. If you know me, I love my sleep, my beauty sleep. I love lazy mornings. I love waking up, meditating, going for walks with the dogs, having coffee, listening to something inspirational, tapping into the divine guidance for the day, receiving what wants to come through, and just flowing. I usually don't do anything like productive until like noon. And right now with my schedule, the way it is, the only time I would be able to fit this in daily without having it clogged up by doing other things that are productive and just being in pure, resonance with the frequency of waking up in the morning before the day starts, like, because I have obligations that I'm already committed to later in the day. The only time I could do this daily was in the morning. And I'm not typically a morning person per se. And so my ego was really struggling with that, oh, well, the only time I could do this daily it would be in the morning. And that would just be a huge disruptor to the routine that I got into. But that's what was calling through. So the interesting thing is I also do pre-recorded things, right, that are not live. And those are very potent and powerful as well, and super activating. That's what the other playlist is that I will link below. Those are pre-recorded. So I started to go back and forth in my mind. There was like a tug of war saying, well, what if I didn't do it live? What if I just recorded it and ripped out the videos, and then I could just record them at my convenience and not have to have a schedule? And it's like, there's so much like resistance to me having a set schedule. Like, that's just, and I know that may be sabotaging in some ways sometimes, but like the more control over my calendar and my schedule, the better. And so there's always been like really healthy boundaries around my time and my calendar. And so I was going back and forth in my head, well, maybe I'll just pre-record them and then just strip them out and just record them whenever it's convenient throughout the day. And when I felt into that, it didn't feel like fun. Even though my other playlist, or the Divine Feminine Collective Message updates, like, those totally feel totally in alignment, doing those pre-recorded. But this new thing that I'm being called to step into, which is really being more on camera, which, like I used to be, has been calling me forward. And so I was going back and forth in my head, well, maybe I should do it just pre-recorded. And then when I fell into that, it didn't feel like fun. It felt like that was me trying to skirt around the responsibility or the commitment that was going to be required in order to show up on a regular basis, because the showing up more on a regular basis, which I already know, but was going to require another level of commitment from me. I was trying to skirt around that. And when I felt into it pre-recorded and just dripping them out randomly, and this isn't to say that this is right for you, this is just what's right for me. It didn't light me up. It didn't feel, I could see that my ego was trying to bypass what was really going to be my most authentic, most magnetic, most messy self. Because part of the values for Divine Femme is about authenticity, uncensored, raw, unfiltered, messy, magical, magnetic self, right? Like, this is always what I teach to spiritual entrepreneurs as well. It's like showing up in the moment, like when, and being authentic and things like that. And so As a Libra sun, I tend to get a little bit in perfection mode sometimes. I like things pretty, and I know if I pre-record things, like, I could get stuck in starting over, or I could get stuck in trying to make something, like, perfect per se, right? And this season is not about perfection. It's not about, like, sitting on something that is wanting to come through you and then, like, procrastinating on it in any way. And so I had to ask myself, like, what am I committed to? What am I devoted to? And I realized that that me trying to keep it pre-recorded so I could just drip it out whenever around my schedule sounds really good in theory, but at this particular juncture, I know I was being called to not have any excuses and not fall into any forms of sabotage, procrastination, or perfectionism. And I knew that if it was going to be pre-recorded, then I sneakily, the ego would be able to find ways to postpone it or do it later or stay up too late one night and then sleep in and then have a lazy morning and not get to it and then get caught up with my other commitments that I'm already obligated to later in the day. Before you know it, then it's like, well, I don't want to be showing up in energy like when I'm ready to just like wind down. Right. So I recognized that and I was like, that's it. It's whenever I talk about doing it live, because I was talking about it with my mom, my voice shifted, the energy shifted, like it was going to require a bigger commitment. It was going to require me getting out of my comfort zone. It was going to be require me shifting my whole morning routine around. It was going to, that I'm totally in love with. It was going to require that show up in my most authentic, transparent, vulnerable, messy, magnetic, unplanned, uncensored, raw self. You know what I mean? Because you can't really you can't hit pause on this. I can't go backwards. I can't redo it. I can't, perfect anything. There's no editing involved. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go live. I've done lives before. This is it. But committing to it on a daily basis. So yay, this series is now going to be, until further notice, a daily thing. And now my morning coffee routine is going to be here with you beautiful souls who are also on this journey of stepping into your power and your authentic truth. And so what better way to help lead and activate those than by showing up and being the example that I know that I am. So I'm going to be showing up in my messy, unfiltered, magnetic self, having my morning coffee with you beautiful souls here, talking about whatever wants to come through from source through me to you to activate you on a soul level to get out of your own way and to stop any sabotaging tendencies or resistance to fully devoting yourself to your calling and your mission that's on your heart and what truly, truly lights you up. And the reason I'm sharing this message is because there was plenty of resistance around this. There was plenty of ways I was trying to talk myself out of it because it didn't fit into the box or the mold of how I wanted my day to flow necessarily, because that means I'm going to be waking up before the sun rises. And I really like waking up after the sun rises. But I've done that before and I really got into it and everything like that. But it's interesting because we can get stuck in our routine. We can get stuck in our patterns. We can get stuck in our ways of being. And that can be a form of resistance for allowing the new to come in. So this is really key to understand, because even though you may have a routine or something that really resonates with you, there could be a better way that's going to align you with your mission and your soul purpose and what you're here to do. But it might be most likely getting you out of your comfort zone and even the routine that you're in that seems really, good. I don't know. I just did that, but um, yeah, there's room for growth and expansion within that, and can even align you even further with your goals, with your soul goals, with your desired goals. And so this isn't something that I figured out per se. This is just me being in the moment, realizing what feels fun. And one little breadcrumb led to the other, and it was like, okay, that was fun. It was like me realizing that every time I hopped on live on YouTube, it was really, really fun. And why am I limiting that? And so then that led to what if? And following that little that little thread of inspiration, and then it would like brought me head to my resistance, which was my old, my current routine and pattern, um, which in a way is serving me, and also in a way is not, because it's not leaving room for me to be more flexible and allow me to shift and adjust. Sorry, I gotta take a sip of this. Mm. The reason why this is all cloudy is because I have electrolytes in it, just in case you're wondering why I'm drinking cloudy water. So, is this resonating? I hope it is, because this is the year that you step fully into your authentic, raw truth and your messy, magnetic self. And that doesn't mean that you have to be showing up live, sharing your message on YouTube. But maybe it does, because a lot of us are truth tellers. I attract a lot of star seeds and light workers that are here to share their message and their gift with the world. But it could be art. You could be called to start a podcast. You could be called to start painting. You could be called to, there's so many ways that we could go on and on and on, but like there's something that's lighting you up right now that is in alignment with your highest timeline, and following the little breadcrumb of what feels fun in the moment, and recognizing what that is, and then taking inspired action on it. So that's another big thing that wanted to come up, is that messy, magical action, sacred masculine action. That is what comes in after you have the intuitive hit, and often will cause uncomfort or fear, because it's going to, invoke some kind of, resistance in you, whether that be, like in my example, shifting up my routine and like rearranging what felt like my boundaries and all of this kind of stuff. And it could be bumping into imposter syndrome. It could be bumping into a lot of things that are fear related, or fear of rejection and things like that. And so the sacred action that comes up that's intuitively inspired, this is the feminine speaking to you. This is your feminine intuition. This is the divine flow speaking to you. This is your heart whispering. And when you get that hit, and then you have courageous action on it. So sacred action is always what I define with my clients as a sacred action that comes in, that's going to invoke some kind of fear or resistance, but it's going to be intuitively guided and intuitively inspired. And there's going to be a sense of aliveness with it, a sense of playfulness, a sense of lighterness with it. Like there's a sense of joy, right? Like when I talk about like doing this live on a daily basis, even though that's a huge commitment, like there's a sense of joy and aliveness and everything that comes with that. And then just like setting up my whole day to be in the flow, because I just can't not. Once you're channeling spirit and you're showing up, you're in alignment with your purpose, things like that. It shifts the energy of. So I don't know where I was going with that. Okay, this is your feminine essence speaking to you. But then it takes time for the masculine energy to come in and take action on it. And this is messy action. And the messier, the more magical. I swear to God. I taught this with my clients inside Sacred Leader Academy, and it was like magic. This is what I call the yin yang creation cycle. And so you receive what the next action is. It's your intuitive guidance speaking to you. It's your heart whispering to you. It's the divine calling you. And then you take the sacred, messy, courageous action. There's always going to be an element of courage involved, because it's going to be getting you out of your comfort zone or bumping you up against some form of fear or resistance. But there's going to be a sense of aliveness or playness on the other side of it. But it's like there's a gate of fear or resistance, and it's going to require sacred masculine action. So what Joseph Campbell said when he said, follow your bliss, what he left out was that your bliss is surrounded by a wall of fear or resistance that you actually have to break through in order to be on that path. And so this isn't about efforting or doing for the sake of doing, or taking action for the sake of action. That would be distorted masculine energy. That's just taking action that's not intuitively guided. Sacred masculine energy is going to be courageous action that is rooted in divine intuition and your feminine flow. And it's going to be courageous action. It's going to get you out of your comfort zone or induce some kind of fear. The magic comes in when you activate. I love working with archetypes. If you guys have followed me for a while, you may know this. If not, welcome again. I love working with archetypes. And one of the archetypes I love working with is the magician. The magician is the one that takes courageous, or not courageous, messy action. The magician is playing with all of the elements, right? The magician takes the action. And here's the thing about the magician that makes it magical is the magician is willing to look foolish. When you're able or willing to look foolish or to not be polished or to not have that mask on of where you have to be perfect or anything like that, like when the magician energy of you being willing to look foolish or take that messy action, that messy magical action, I think we might have just got the title for the video. I never know the titles until whatever channels through wants to come through. But the messy magical action, that's the magician archetype, is married with sacred masculine energy, which is the action taking energy. Is when that's rooted in divine feminine intuition, you have a secret formula. You have a secret formula that manifests like no other what you want to create in the world. Is this making sense? So when the masculine and the magician are working together in tandem, you are magnetic as fuck, right? Like, and you are just, yeah, I don't even know how else to explain it. You have to experience it, right? So you have to be able to take the sacred action, the courageous sacred action, and marry that with the magician, which means it's okay if it's not perfect. Messy, the messier, the more magical, because that means you're out of your mind. You're not overthinking. You're not in perfection mode. You're not in procrastination energy. You're not comparing yourself to others or anything like that, because that's what will bog so many creative entrepreneurs down. They will be either stuck in comparison, comparing themselves to everybody else that has a different journey and a different soul contract and different karma and different timeline and all the things that maybe even started years before them, and they're like comparing themselves to others. No, 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 don't do that. Don't do that. The other one is analysis paralysis, like you're just in thinking mode about it and you're just always analyzing, mapping out stuff. You got like a journal full of notes that you're just tucked away, and your journal is just like collecting dust. None of those ideas are being taken and put into action. You're not birthing anything new out of them. They're just collecting dust in your journal. And then the perfectionism is the other one that's a big one. Perfectionism, because you bump up against imposter syndrome, you bump up against fear of rejection. A lot of times your message is going to be polarizing, especially if you're a truth teller, which if you haven't watched Lone Wolf to Sacred Visionary, that's another one on this playlist you'll want to check out if you resonate with that. And so you bump up into these things. Think about it. When you're willing to take action in the moment, and you're allowing yourself to be messy and imperfect, you bypass all of that. You completely just bypass all of that. And you just go straight to the heart of like your playful energy, right? What wants to come through you, unfiltered. You're not overthinking it, processing it, or any of those things. This is when you're the most magical. And I know this because you are a channel like me, or you wouldn't be here right now. And we're all channels in truth because we're all divine expressions of the one. And some of us are soul contracted here to express that divinity in our human form as the authentic divine expression that we are called to be. And each of us has our own assignment. And so you are listening to this now because you are a channel of of the divine one, right? And you're here to embody your divinity. And you cannot embody your divinity if you are hiding behind perfectionism or imposter syndrome or fear, or running from your truth or your voice or your message or your gift or any of that. You can only embody your divinity when you are being authentic, which means you can't be wearing any of those masks, which means you're going to have to get over the fear of rejection and polarizing an audience or showing up and having naysayers or any of the things. And you're also going to have to get over your own fear of needing external validation for any of the work that you do, like whether that's art or songs or poetry or making movies or whatever the case may be. Like there's so many different ways. But if you're resonating with me, because I know who I'm here to serve, You are a creator. You are here to be a creative on, creative expression. Like, you're really here. We're all creators, but you're really here to tap into your divine creator. You are the divine creatrix, right? And you are here to fully embody that and live that. And that only happens when you're playing and when you're flowing and when you're willing to get out of your way and bust through the resistance and take the sacred action and be willing to be messy and imperfect, because that's your authentic truth, right? It's like, nobody is going to resonate if you're being overly polished or perfecting yourself or comparing yourself to others and then trying to follow somebody else's truth. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. And you will feel it because it's not going to be magnetic. When you can marry the three things like I talked about, the magician archetype with the sacred masculine energy that takes action through fear, courageous action through fear, that's all rooted on your divine intuition and the spiritual breadcrumbs that you're receiving. Those three components right there makes you magnetic. It makes your message magnetic. It makes your art magnetic. It makes whatever you're called to do magnetic. And so over the course of my career as a spiritual entrepreneur, I've really had to work be cognizant of when I was in my divine, creative, flowing, magical energy, or when I was trying to do things for the sake of doing them and they weren't rooted in what was really fun or playful or light. Instead, it was rooted more out of just obligation or what I thought I should be doing or what somebody else told me I should be doing or this or that. And in the end, if it doesn't feel like it's resonant for you, if it doesn't feel like fun and play and things like that, I would say it's not a resonant match. It's going to have to really feel resonant with you and feel light and feel like fun and feel like flow and feel playful. It's going to bring you joy. It's going to feel like passion. It's going to feel like someone just lit your soul on fire. And the more you do it, the more you follow the breadcrumb, the more it's like the universe is like, yeah. And your fire, like your passion, like everything is just lit. You are living a soul lit life, one step at a time, but you have to be a co-creator with this process, a conscious co-creator with this process. You can't be lazy with your co-creative responsibilities. You are the divine creatrix, which brings a level of responsibility. So I don't want to leave a message thinking that you don't have to, that there's no action that needs to be taken. There are actions that need to be taken, and they may even cause resistance, like me showing up every single day live in the morning and getting up before the sun rises so I can get, at least somewhat prepared. Who knows, maybe I'll be showing up with my hair in a bun and my coffee and like, not, what I mean? Like maybe I won't get ready. I don't know. But what I'm saying is there was resistance to that. And so that action is divinely guided. Check. Yes. Inspiring. Yes. Check. Feels like fun and flow. Yes. Gets me so excited. But it was also causing a lot of resistance. And so I had to ask myself, am I feeling resistance because this is not in alignment? Or am I feeling resistance because I'm resistant to change? Because I'm resistant to doing something different. I'm resistant to uprooting my routine that brought me a sense of safety or security or something like that. And the answer was very clear when I checked in with myself that, yeah, the aliveness is there when I talk about it and when I tap into it. The aliveness is there when I'm doing it live, and the option to pre-record and drip it out later, the energy was not there. And so it was very clear to me that the resistance I was feeling was not that it's out of alignment, but that I was resistant to change. And I'm someone that can really get stuck, like really rooted in my routines, even though I don't like routines. It's very paradoxical, right? Like I have a routine that I like, but then also I love to be able to have my calendar completely free and free flowing. So it's like, it's totally paradoxical. I hope that's making sense. There was something I was going to say that was coming through and I just lost it. I just lost it. Geez Louise, that's going to happen again for sure, because that's what happens when you go live. So, God, it was good though. Damn, it was good. I lost it. It'll come back. That's what happens. So one thing that I was going to mention is that I'm probably going to come on here and share a story, not today. It doesn't feel right to share today, but I am going to share how Divine Femme was born. The birth of Divine Femme, which, as you know, is my baby. Divine Femme is my ripple in the pond of great awakening, my legacy of, you know, how I'm here to serve. And that's through divine feminine embodiment and leadership. And that's where I host all of my different containers and stuff like that. But Divine Femme was birthed through the chaos, through destruction, and through one of the lowest points. And that's a beautiful story that needs to be told on a totally separate live. So that being said, I don't know why I shared that right now. If you want to be notified when I go live, which will be daily, somewhere around 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, Mountain Standard Time. I'm not going to be posting them in advance for you to be notified. I'm just going to hit the live button. So if you want to know when I go live, just go ahead and subscribe and hit the notifications, and then you'll be notified. But the replays are just as powerful. And if you are watching this on the replay, I would love to hear from you if you get value from these as well. There was something else coming through, and I feel like I can't wrap this up until it comes through. What was I talking about? It'll come to me. I'm going to read the comments for a second. Yeah, the ego war has been, the ego struggle war has been quite real. You've been battling the same exact issue? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Let's see here. Okay. This was kind of touching on the point that I wanted to make. I often second guess the inspired action due to fear of commitment or whatever. It's helpful that you said about feeling in which, oh yeah, this is it. Okay. It was helpful that what you said about feeling into which idea lit you up. Yes. So here's the thing I wanted to say about that. Thank you. That's why I was guided to look at the chat. Usually I can't look at the chat because it'll mess me up, but I was guided to it. So when you're tapping in to determine if something is in alignment for you or not, there is a chance that it won't be in alignment because it's not in alignment, right? Like the resistance can come up because something is simply not in alignment. And I could have chalked it up to, no, this isn't in alignment because I just want to have my morning, my slow morning. I want to wake up and not be accountable to anybody or responsible for anything until after, you know, all the things. And then around noon, I can start being productive. Like that's usually what my day looks like. So I could have had that story and I would have been really shooting myself in the foot with what I'm called to create. So long story short, when you're tapping into whether something feels like alignment, it's important to know that sometimes it will feel off and there'll be a level of resistance because it's just not in alignment, because it's not meant for you, because it's something. This is why it's key to understand if something is inspired from within versus something that is coming from the mental realm to create from the mental realm, because the mental realm is very masculine and it's very rooted in ego dominance. We're moving out of ego consciousness, out of separation consciousness. You're embodying unity consciousness, which is heart centered. So this is a feeling. You're going to feel your way there. You're not going to think your way there. And so you want to tap in with the feeling, and you want to know, just it's good to know that when you feel resistance, sometimes things are just out of alignment and it's just not resonant for you. And that's just means that it's not for you. Some other times it can be because there's your own level of inner resistance, which is a form of self-sabotage. And so it's really important to be able to check in with your own heart and with your feeling body to check in, which is it, right? And the answer will be clear, because don't try to figure it out from the mind. Literally close your eyes, put your hand over your heart and ask, you know, is this resistance here because it's not in alignment for me? Or is this resistance here because I'm somehow blocking this or this or that? And you'll know. And then also the way you can tell is, when I was talking about it with my mom, for example, I was talking about, well, I could do it this way. I could just pre-record things and drip it out. There was no energy behind it. There was no charge behind it. There was no aliveness behind it. It was me trying to create a way for me to not have to commit to showing up on a regular basis and actually hold myself more accountable. It was a way for me to like stay in my routine where it didn't matter like what time I went to bed or what time I woke up or this or that. Like, so there was a lot of resistance around there. But at the end of the day, there wasn't the aliveness, there wasn't the inspiration, there wasn't the feeling of like, hell yes. There wasn't a lighting up of my energy when I was like playing around with the other way to do this. The aliveness came when I felt into just showing up live and being like the most messy, unapologetic, authentic version of myself, which like walking the talk, right? Like this is what leadership is. And so it gave me zero room to also get stuck in any of my perfectionism and things like that. And it just naturally lit me up. There was that level of playfulness. There was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was hopping off lives with you guys the previous few weeks. And every time I did one, I was like, that was fun. That was fun. Well, this is example of following the fun, getting out of your own way, following the fun. I have zero clue what 2025 is going to hold for each and every one of us. And I don't have to, because I know it's all about following heart-centeredness and following the fun and creating from flow and taking inspired action, whatever that looks like for you. And so I had to say, okay, with this series, what am I committing to? Like, what's the what am I committing to with this series if I were to go live every day? And what I decided is that, after having a good year or two of like hibernation and like deep rebirth and transformation and like reactivating my own gifts after going through huge dark night of the soul and kind of being a little bit more disconnected. I was still hosting things and still have them, students and stuff, but I was deeply going more inward and kind of like not showing up as much as I could. And that was intentional because it was very much a hermit mode and very much like hibernation for me to really come into my authentic alignment and really master my own, um, being able to stand in my own authentic truth. And a lot of themes around that in 2023 and 24, really being able to stand authentically in my own truth, despite what anybody has to say about it. I share a lot about that in the previous episode regarding lone wolf to sacred visionary. And now it's time, right? Like hibernation mode is over, like hermit mode is over. And I know you can be tuning in at different stages of this journey. And that's why I said, if this doesn't resonate, you might want to check out the other collective playlists that I have that I will link below this. But for those that are resonating with this right now, there is the call, and it's an undeniable call that it's time to move into your authentic truth and do what lights you up and come into alignment with what your soul came here to do and came here to share. You have a soul contract. You came here to be here right now. You have something magical to share with the world through your unique expression. It doesn't have to be on a professional level, although a lot of you it will be. It will most likely be on some form of a creative level, because we are creation and we are most magical when we are creating. And so whatever that looks like for you, this is what it looks like for me. I opened up to channeling back in 2013 and 14, and I've been channeling ever since. And I am most lit up when I'm speaking or writing, and I am most activating when I'm speaking and harnessing my gifts and reading people's energy and activating on a soul level, which I do through the frequency of my voice and what wants to come through. Fully owning that and knowing that and taking ownership of that. Once you take full ownership of your unique gifts, you cannot hide from them anymore. It's like you just activate a power within that pulls you forward. It pulls you, like, you know what I mean? So I hope this is resonating. I am so happy to be here with you guys. Like, this is going to be a really exciting year, and I am committed to this. So yeah. So when I was talking to myself about like, what am I committed for? What am I committed to for this series? It was a devotion to getting out of my own way in any way that I'm still sabotaging what I know I'm here to do, which is activate the leaders of New Earth and to help them shine their light through whatever they need to hear. And to show up consistently as an example of what is possible when you choose yourself and you choose what's fun and you choose your joy and you show up for yourself, and to be the walking, talking, living example of that, and watch what transpires over the course of 2025, because I already can feel it, that there's a lot of magic happening for all of us that are willing to step into this next stage, this higher timeline. Um, and so I'm devoted to consistency. I'm devoted um, to devotion itself, to a devotion to my calling. You know, when you step into this role, you realize that you are a divine worker. You're a light worker, right? You're working for the divine, best job in town. And when you fully embrace this and move forward with this magic that want to be born through you and birthed through you, just like an empress, then life begins to unfold in magical ways. And it was already magical, but it's only going to get more magical, because expansion is the name of the game. Creation is the name of the game, and mind blowing, beyond what the mind could think, because the heart is your connection to divine intelligence, which knows a much better way for you to come into alignment with your soul's purpose. But it may require getting out of your own way, which I shared today on how I was doing that for myself. And I hope that resonated with you. What I was going to share is also, if you are on the community tab, this idea just came up. If you're on the community tab and you have any question, I might post some Q&A threads on there, just so, like, if you have a certain topic or something that wants to be answered on one of these lives that we do every morning together, you can go ahead and respond to that. I might put some polls over there and stuff like that, just to get an idea of like what you're really like moving through right now. Even though it already hits me like usually what wants to come through like before I hit record, but I think it would be fun to have it more interactive. And so check that out. And then the other thing I was going to say is, I forget, but I'm sure I'll remember it before tomorrow. So I hope this finds you well. Oh yeah, a word. This has been fun, because I've been able to see who's been really hanging out the entire time, that's really here as part of the Soul Fam and Star family. And so I've always been dropping a word, but I strategically do it way late in the video, because I just want to know who's here for the whole thing. So I think the word is going to be messy. Just drop the word messy. And I know that's weird, but like, this is all about taking messy, magical, imperfect action. So drop the word messy if you are still here with me. That's kind of like a little wink. It's kind of like a wink to me to let me know, like, yeah, we're here. Like, thank you. And this is like, we're mirrors for each other. You're holding me accountable as well to show up every single day and do what I do. And it's also a wink to the universe and to the divine that you're here for it and you're ready for it. And that also, spiritual law, universal law, means that things are going to start to populate into your experience when you start to claim it. And so drop the word messy in here if you're ready to start to take messy, imperfect action and get out of your own way. So that being said, I hope this finds you well, and I will see you tomorrow. Namaste.